As I said, today is the PIMS collection for October 1st. You have the student collection due, which was the old October 1 collection, and you now have the staff collection due. And if you would have to submit your program fax templates if that applies to your building, if you offer any of those special programs that are listed on Appendix, I believe, F. And also, if you're a full-time CTC, you may have to submit district fact template. So today we will review the new PIMS procedures for 14-15 school year. As you know, they've consolidated the collections, mainly from 29 collections, they state, down to 6, with one of them being open all year long, which is collection 6. We are dealing only today with collection 1. We'll do an overview of today, the October submission. We will look at how you would upload if you're a hosted site with ClassLink. And then we will get into the actual student data elements and reporting and verifications that you can run. And then after we've gone through the student portion, we will hit upon the what they are calling professional personnel portion, submission this year, which is your former staff. Not a lot has changed in the staff. There's just one field that's changed, but you need to be aware of that. So having said that, we'll get started on what are the new things. As I said, they've consolidated your collections from 29 down to 6, and your staff templates have to go in during collection 1, which is now called professional personnel submission. We have confirmed with PDE that CTCs are not required to collect the grade 9 entry date yet for 14-15. However, it may become a requirement later in the year, but at this point in time it is not required. Only full comprehensive clients are required to collect that, and only for their full-time students. Those schools have been made aware of that. There are new PIMS entry and withdrawal codes for your school enrollment template, and those have been crosswalked to your ClassMate entry and withdrawal codes that you've been using for the last several years. You'll continue to use the existing entry and withdrawal codes along with any new that we've added. They will be in the release whenever you are upgraded. You are now required to report to PDE what they are referring to as no-show students for 2014-15. In other words, if the student was enrolled with you at the end of last year and failed to report this year, you must report them as a no-show student. The CTE indicator has been reintroduced, and that is only required by the CTC if the student takes a full complement of the primary academics at your Career and Tech Center. There are assessment participation codes have been updated. The first assessment participation code would be a new list, which now includes the NOCTI and NIMS testing, in addition to the old PASA and the PSSA testing. If you are administering any of those assessments, including NOCTI and NIMS, then you must report the assessment participation code in your student template. There are also new assessment participation codes, and PDE has actually, for the keystones, and they have actually broken them down not only by subject matter, but when they are actually taken, winter, spring, and summer. The primary disability code must now be populated in Student Special Populations Management module. It's been there for a year or so now, and before, if a student had more than one disability, you just mark the primary. Now, all students who have a special population must have a primary, even if they only have one. If you have a student who's only specific learning disability, then they must also be marked specific learning disability under the primary section. We'll look at that in a little bit here. For the October 1 submission, ClassLink will auto-populate that primary disability for your students who have a singular or have been identified with a primary disability for you. But going forward, you must, whenever you enroll a new special population student, identify that primary disability in the Special Populations Management module. There will be the school enrollment. There is now a comment field in that template to indicate a delete of an erroneous record. And since we have very little information on this at this time from PDE or guidance, ClassLink will handle those requests from each of you on an individual basis. You should enter a help desk case in desk.com if you need to delete an erroneous record from your school enrollment template. So the reporting window, the time you can start uploading, is October 1 through October 17. I will tell you that the upgrades 2014 A version of ClassMate will be coming out to you starting the week of September 29th, and you can not upload to PDE until your site has been upgraded, because some of the things that you'll be seeing in my database today do not presently exist in your ClassMate database. You will not see them until you are upgraded. So you can start your data entry work in ClassMate. It will all carry through, like your data validations and making sure certain things are in, but there will be certain things that will not be available to you. And as we go through today, I will try to point those out to you. The snapshot date will be October 1st. The following templates are required for the student collection, okay? The district snapshot, which CTCs are not required to submit that template. The program facts, and the part-time CTCs would only submit that if they participated in any of the programs in Appendix F of the PIMS Volume 2 manual, which contains the program codes. If you're not sure, you need to go out to the PDE website and look at that Appendix F of the volume of the PIMS manual, Volume 2. If you do not participate in those programs, then you are not required to submit a program's fact template. In addition, for the student submission, you must submit your student snapshot, and your school enrollment. So having talked about referring to the PIMS manual, you can simply go out to the PDE website you come to this page, and if you come down here and click on Programs on the left-hand side, some of you may know how to navigate this. This is for our newer clients or our people who are new to doing PIMS. Then you'll scroll down and you'll find the PIMS information and click Go. And it will take you to the PIMS page, and this will show you all of the information concerning PIMS. And if you scroll down, you will see here are where the PIMS manuals are for 2014-15, and also the reporting calendar is here, down here. So whenever I was saying Appendix F of the manual, you would come in here. Anytime we refer you to the PIMS manuals, you would come out here. We'll look at Appendix F real quick. So if you participate in any of these, you would need to submit your program's fact template. If you do not participate in any of these listed programs, then you would not need to submit. I've had a question and it wants to know if the QRG is on the Institute site, that it could not be found. No, it is not out on the Institute website. It will be posted after today's webinar. You did receive the overview, which is an outline of basically what's in the QRG, just a lot more detail in the QRG. So that is how you access your PIMS manuals and any information related to PIMS on the PD website. The ClassMate Institute site, which I just referred to, you will get to by simply going to www.classlink.com, and it will bring you to this page that's showing on my screen. At the top, you'll click on Products, then click on ClassMate. And if you scroll down, you'll come to here. And after today, probably within the next day or two, the webinar will be posted along with the quick reference guide. If you click here, the webinar will show up here once it's been posted. And it would appear here. This is also where you would obtain any state documentation. In that case, all documentation is under what we call the Institute. You just simply scroll down, click on the ClassMate user and state-specific documentation. Then you'll get this little table here. You'll click state-specific documentation and scroll down to Pennsylvania. And you can find all of our related state documentation there. It will also appear here after today's webinar. And then we will move into part of the other submission due would be the staff submission, or I can't get used to calling it the professional personnel, but the professional personnel submission is due October 1 through 17 also. And for that submission, you will need to submit your staff snapshot, and staff assignment templates. Just a quick note about hosted sites. Whenever you are working, going to export or import anything in ClassMate, you need to be logged in through your Launchpad. So you will simply go to this URL and enter this information along with your school's acronym. Whenever it comes up, you'll click back again, and then you will enter your username and password, or your username, which is usually your first initial and last name, and then whatever password you use for Launchpad. You may have changed it. We normally set it to password 1, but if you've changed it and can't remember what it is, you would need to contact the ClassMate help desk to reset it for you. You can work and update your information in ClassMate once you're in through the Launchpad and do your exporting. And then once you have all of your updates done in ClassMate, you would just simply go out to the internet browser on your Launchpad. Yours will look a little bit different than what the one you're seeing here. I think I've lost my connection. Hold on. Your launch pad would look something like this. I believe yours might be green. And you would have Google over here that you can connect to. Go to the PD website or the PIMS website and upload your templates once you have your work done. So the first part, now we're going to get into the student information. The first part is ensuring that all of your students have a PA Secure ID. To do that, you simply go into your ClassMate application under PIMS Management, and you can go to the Student PA Secure ID Information module. When it opens up, you go up and click on Edit and tell it to insert the student information. That brings in all of your people all of your students that you have enrolled since the last time you were in here. If there was anybody in here without a PA Secure ID, they would be listed in blue font, and you would simply go up and create an export file for those students. This will give you the pathway where the template's going to be saved, or the file's going to be saved, that you're going to upload to the PA Secure ID website. And include PA Secure ID. If you mark no, it's just going to pull in the students who are sitting out here in this module with no PA Secure ID assigned, and you will click Create the text file. Once you do that, you can again go out to your Launchpad, go to Google, go to the PA Secure ID website, and upload the file you just created, and you will find it in this pathway on the ClassMate drive. Under the PA Secure ID, it always has your school's acronym and the date that you created the file. Once you have gone out onto the PA Secure ID website and resolved all the problems that, near matches or whatever with your upload of PA Secure ID, and you have a good file to bring down, then you can export the file from PA Secure ID and actually import it into ClassMate right here. You would do import. You would go out and find it where you saved it to. By clicking on here, you find it, and then you click import, and it will bring in those missing PA Secure IDs. Then the very last thing you need to do is tell it to update your live database. This is the PA Secure ID is sort of a standalone module like your student PIMS information. So if you do not do this step here, it's not going to take the PA Secure IDs out of here and record them in your student master in regular ClassMate. So make sure you do that piece of it also. There's documentation out on the Institute website, which I just showed you how to access that on this whole process step by step of how to do the PA Secure ID process. So then you will want to run the No Occupational Enrollment report for your students, and you need to, once you have run this report, you'll review it and decide, is this student to be enrolled here? Are they a student here? And if they are, you would go into student enrollment, student scheduling, and create a schedule for them on the Create New tab. Or if they are no longer enrolled and not returning to the Career and Tech Center for the 14-15 school year, you would again go into the student enrollment folder, but this time you would go to the Remove Return Student, and you would delete those students. No students can remain on this report because it will affect your PIMS submission. So having said all that, We'll go to Reports, and you'll find that report under Student Enrollment, and you're looking for the No Occupational Enrollment Report. Excuse me. And you will need to know your location. And you will run it by location. So this is telling me that these students exist here, and I need to look at them and see if I need to delete them from my ClassMate database. So if I decided that they need to be enrolled, I would simply go up to Modules, Student Enrollment, Student Scheduling, Create New, find the student, and actually schedule them into a class. If I decided they were leaving, I would go to the Remove, under the same folder, Student Enrollment, I would go to the Remove Return Student, pull up the student's name by clicking on this student button, find them by typing part of their name in here, hitting the binoculars. Once their name's populated up there, I click the green arrow and I come to number 1, click True, and tell it to delete that person. And that you will do that for everybody listed on that report. You're determining whether they're enrolled with you or whether they're no longer enrolled with you. Then you should run your data validation report. To do that, you go to the Student Enrollment folder again under Modules, and you will run the ClassMate data validations. You should run the resequence enrollment, the duplicate student IDs, the demographics, the birth dates, the primary contacts, the special populations flags, and the missing career pathways. And you're going to validate that data. We're going to just do demographics right now. And correct any problems that are there. Give this one moment while it pulls. Maybe I don't have any demographics in. Anyway, each of these validations will give you, you'll get something that shows up here, and if it's populated with student names, it would have up here a little paragraph for you of how to clear that validation. So it might tell you that the birth date looks wrong, and if you look at it, it might say, it might be the ClassMate default of 1/1/1900. So the student is appearing to be 114 years old, so you know that you need to go in and fix that person's date of birth. Okay, we've had a question. What happens if I already removed the students that were projected to attend but did not show or change their minds? Those students that were not enrolled last year are not, would be reportable by the sending district, Dawn. The ones you need to be more concerned with are those that were with you last year but did not return this year. And we will get to that no-show student report here shortly. Anyway, having run those data validations, You will go in and adjust information, and you should also review the information in the folder Student Enrollment, Student Master Information, and you need to look at the Address tab in Student Master and ensure that they have an address, city, state, and zip. On the Student Information tab, you need to make sure that they have a current grade level selected, a gender, ethnicity, and a date of birth. And then on the Career Objectives tab, you need to ensure that they have a post-secondary plan and a career pathway, and that the homeroom field is populated. It is required for your PIMS submission for a homeroom to be there for in the template. So if it's missing, you can go to System Administrator, ClassMate Master Control, and on the State Reporting tab, there's an enrollment activity, and whenever you run it, click True, it will actually insert the homeroom for you. So having said that, we'll go out here and look at what you need to populate. So in Student Master, the information you need to review in this would be that your students have an address, city, state, and zip on the Address tab. On the Student Information tab, you will want to make sure that they have a current grade level, an ethnicity. If they are a special population, you want to flag them here as to what they are, disabled, at risk, that they have a gender, and a date of birth. And then on the Career Objective tab, they need to have a career pathway, a post-secondary plan, and a homeroom. Now, if the homeroom is missing here, you would simply go to System Administrator, ClassMate Master Control. Under the State Reporting tab, you will do Enrollment Activity True and save, and it will insert the homerooms. You must also make sure that each student has a primary contact listed. So you need to have a title, the contact type, the name, an address, city, state, and zip again. One must be flagged as a primary contact, and the language must be selected. So to do that, you again go into Student Enrollment. This time, the Student Enrollment folder, the student contact information, and you need to ensure that you have a primary contact listed as true here. And as you can see, some of you who are new say, well, it's blank. If I come down here and click on the person's name, it auto-populates up above. Then, as part of the student submission, you must ensure that each student has a resident district and a resident school. Majority of the students, their attending school and district and their resident district and school would be the same, except when there is a non-public school, such as a private or parochial school, or whenever the student is a 1305 or 1306 student. Since PIMS does not recognize non-public schools in the resident school box, you should select the high school for the resident district that the student would attend if they were not at the non-public school. So, in student scheduling, under the student enrollment folder, student scheduling, you need to ensure that on this district updates tab, that the student has a resident district and a resident school. Also, in the student scheduling module, any student who is non-resident, you will provide the non-resident details along with the funding district for that student. So again, in student scheduling, if you have a non-resident student, you would go to the non-resident updates tab, and you must provide this detail. Are they a 1305 non-resident, or what are they here? You will choose the category of what they are and have a funding district listed here. Now we're getting to the new process. This is for students who left the CTC during the summer and were projected to return for 14 and 15 school year, but did not show up. And now they must be reported to PIMS. So your question is, what do I do? Well, here's how you're going to handle that. The first thing you're going to do is, if you've not removed them from your enrollment, you will go into student enrollment to the Remove Return module. You'll choose your location, make sure you're on the 14-15 school year, find the student, and click True Delete for number 1, and that will remove the student from the enrollment. So you'll come into, again, let's do this a little slower, the student enrollment folder, the Remove Return Student module. Click on this student. First thing you're going to do is ensure your location. So if you're multi-location, you want to make sure you have the right campus selected. You want to make sure you're in the 14-15 school year for the campus that you're removing the student from. Then you'll click on the student button. If you're a one location site, this will auto default for you. You'll click on the student blue button, type in the student's name, find her, click on the green button, select, and I need to remove her. So I'll select True and save. It won't let me because she's already had classes, but that's simply what you would do for a student who is not there. Which brings up a good point. If there's attendance or knowledge grades recorded on a student who has not shown up, then you need to investigate further. Were they actually in your building a day? If they were, you would not use this process. You would just simply withdraw them as you would any other time. If, however, it's maybe just attendance recorded for the student and they never have truly shown up, they've been marked absent every day, you would first have to remove their attendance under the Admin Attendance module. Go to Admin Attendance Deletion, find the student, and go up and click and delete the attendance for the student if there was any listed there. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong. No, I'm in the right place. I'm sorry. Here we go. Here's an example. Let's just say Brian had never shown up for the school year and you do know you want to delete him. You would simply go up, click Edit, and click Delete Attendance, and it will remove all the attendance for you. So then you can go back in to the Remove Return Student module and delete Brian. Once you have done that, excuse me, this is a two-step process. Once you've done that, you will then go into the Student Enrollment Options folder under Student Dropout Management. This will be updated with your upgrade. You have the Student Dropout Management, but the codes in the withdrawal codes and part of this process will not be there for you at this point in time. So what you would simply do, you will go into, as I said, the Student Enrollment Options folder, which is right here. You will go to the Student Dropout Management. You'll select your campus or location. You will select Archive, and it will prompt you for a year. When you enter the year, it's just 1314. You'll find the student that you want to withdraw. Click on the Withdraw tab. Click on their program. There should be program information listed here. Unfortunately, in the training database that we're using today, there is no enrollments, so I can't demonstrate this fully for you. But down here would be the course that they had been enrolled in for the 13-14 school year. You would click on that, and it would auto-populate up here for you. You would simply choose a withdrawal status, and the withdrawal status that you want to choose will be a new code. You'll scroll down until you find the WD09, not the W09. Be very careful. You want the WD09. Student enrolled but did not show. Click the green arrow and save. You could put the last day of last school year as the end date if you wanted to in the end date field. This process does not require you to change any of your CTE student fact information from the 13-14 school year. This is simply reporting to PIMS those students who you thought were coming back to you for 14-15 school year but failed to return to you. Once you have done that with all of your no-show students, you will create a export file of those students to be loaded up to PIMS. To do that, you will stay in this module. You'll go up and click on Edit, and you will click on the Export No Shows. What this will do is, you will not get this error, but it will create a template that will sit out in your ClassMate PIMS file that will be uploaded to PIMS that will contain your no-show students. We have some questions. Okay. What if the student moved over the summer? Would it be a W-9 as well? No, this would be only for the students who you thought were going to be there day one and did not show up for this school year. If you know that they moved and they moved out of state, wait a minute, let me think about this for a minute. They were on your enrollment at the end of the school year, I'm assuming. And you expected them to come back, but they moved, let's just say they moved the beginning of August and did not come back. Can you let me know if that's correct? Okay. Then yes, you can do that, and you can actually on this withdrawal tab, I would use the WD-09 I would use the WD-09 because I don't think it's going to let you use one of the other fields and put in a previous year's school date. Let's see. Let me see if it will. I think it's going to tell me it's an invalid date, but I will see. Well, first I need to choose a student. Huh. Now, it's going to be hard to withdraw somebody when I don't have any information in. Marisol, I will get a definitive answer for you on that. And we will put that answer on the question and answer document so that you are all aware of what that answer is to students who moved and you know they moved, whether you should still use the WD-09 code or whether you should actually code them as they should be. We're going to test it out once the shell out is done, and then I'll get an answer for you. Then the next slide talks about, that shows you the population of a no-show and how to populate it all. And then this next slide talks about creating the export file, which I just showed you. And again, the no-show students are reported only one time to PIMS, so you only have to do that this one time. And you do not need to adjust your 1314 CTE student fax submission per PDE. Then you get into the special populations, and you need to make sure that all of your special populations are flagged, including a disadvantaged, disabled, free and reduced lunch, of course, your 504, your single parents, all of that information must be flagged in the special population, student special pops management module. Even if your CTC does not offer lunch, you must obtain that information from your sending district and populate that information. Students who are single parents need to be identified as such, and students who are gifted with or without an IEP need to have that marked under special POPs. If a student is gifted without a disability, you would not select the disabled/IEP, nor would you mark them as disabled true in the special POPs module. Again, we're going to auto-populate the primary disability for all special POP students for the October 1 submission. However, you need to verify the information, and going forward, you will be required to populate the primary disability in student special populations management for any students enrolled after this submission. So to do all that data entry, you will go to the Special Populations folder, into the Student Special Pops Management. You choose a student. You will mark whether they're disadvantaged. True, if they're free or reduced lunch, they fall under disadvantaged. Disabled with an IEP. Do they have a 504 plan? You identify it here. Are they alternative ed? Are they non-traditional? Are they at risk? Then, when you come in here, you only see what's assigned to the student. So if I click on a student who doesn't have any special pops, you'll see it's blank. But let's just say I found out that Ashley is actually, we're going to say she's disadvantaged, true, and I need to click on this View All, and I need to scroll down because I know she's on free lunch because I've just been notified by the sending district. Here are all your special populations: displaced homemaker, single parent, all of that is here, along with all of the disabled categories, starting with autism and going down through infants and toddlers with disabilities. Those are all your disabled special populations. So if Ashley also is specific learning disability and I know that, then I need to choose her primary disability over here, and it would be specific learning disability that I need to mark, and I would need to mark her true here also. I had a question. All of our students now receive free lunch. Any suggestions on how to know which students to flag as free or reduced lunch? Are they receiving free lunch as a courtesy from you as part of a federal program? You know, you need to determine whether they fall under the poverty guidelines and would fit under the free and reduced lunch program if it's just being offered across the board to all students. I can't answer that. That would probably be something you need to pose to the PIMS help desk or to PDE. Once you have all that data entry pretty much entered and done, then you can run some ClassMate data validations. Again, I would start with these validations. They will identify problem areas for you, and then I would run them again after I thought I had reviewed and updated all my information. Again, they are resequence enrollment, duplicate student IDs, demographics, birth dates, primary contacts, and you need to pay attention to the one that has a P02 in the corner, because those are the ones that are missing out of the student contacts file. The P01 is looking at registration, so concern yourself with the P02 validation on primary contacts, the special populations flag, and the missing career pathways. Again, you run those validations under the student enrollment folder, ClassMate data validations. This is a screenshot of the ones, and they're numbered, which ones you should be running for the student submission. Once you have all of that done, you can run under reports, the PIMS management, the PIMS verification report. You will need to have your school branch code or your location code. It's the last 4 digits of your AUN. You will on this report, under the parameters, you would select ClassMate data verification. You would want to run it for student verifications. And if you have multi-locations, you would run it for each of your locations. So you would go to PIMS PIMS management, and you would want the ClassMate PIMS verification report. You would enter your school branch code here. You would want ClassMate data verifications, and you want to choose student, and you click this add button, and then you would run it after you've chosen your location. 7068. I knew it was. And it would populate a report for you of asking you to verify certain information. And what it's going to be looking at would be your free and reduced lunch. It will list your students. It will list your single parents, displaced homemakers, your gifted, your home language, whether they have no homeroom, what their LEP participation is, your IEP students, and what their primary disability is. And not so much important for this when the program tech hours will be listed. Well, the program tech hours will be listed there because it's program technical hours, not student technical hours. I'm sorry. So you would want to view all of those and adjust as necessary. The first 5 can be adjusted in student special populations. The home language is done on the student contact, or the student contact. You would go into the primary contact and make sure that the language is selected. Homeroom is done in student master. LEP participation would be special pops, I believe. IEPs and primary disabilities would be your special populations. And your tech hours is pulled from your curriculum management instructional course offerings. So then you go into your next part of the student submission is you go into your student PIMS information module and you click insert. Every time you go into this module, you should go up and click on edit and insert and bring in the information from ClassMate into the student PIMS information module. Remember, this again is sort of a standalone module. Once you do that, on the tab 1, you're going to check the special education, that they have a primary disability. You're going to check their home language, their LEP participation, and update the gifted fields for all gifted students. That's what you will do on the student tab 1. So you've done all this data entry in regular ClassMate, so now you're ready to go into PIMS management, student PIMS information module. You'll go up and click insert, bring in the latest information, click on this, and here's what you're going to be checking. Their special education, their home language, their LEP participation, and you will update them if they're gifted, which is, I believe, right here, maybe. Yeah, which is part of the challenge type. So you would update your gifted here under challenge type. On the Student 2 tab, if you are required to report the grade 9 entry date, you would do it here. Your district entry date, your state entry date. If the student is an English language learner, what was their bilingual start date? The school entry date, the day they entered your CTC. If they are LEP, ELL eligibility according to the definitions in the PIMS manual, you would mark this yes. And if that LEP eligibility was Title III involved, you would make sure to mark that yes. If you're a full-time CTC offering the primary academics, you would mark the CTE indicator as yes. And then we get into these. These are your new assessment participation codes. The first one here, I think you all do. I can't say for sure, but if your student is taking an assessment with you, you'll want to make sure that you come in and mark them, NIMS, NOCTI, NIMS and NOCTI. What assessment are they taking with you? Maybe they're not taking one with you. You will make sure you mark it. And then you will populate or verify if the students are taking Keystones with you, the winter Keystones, what subject matters are they being tested in? Or are they not being tested? You would want to make sure that this is set to NA. Same with the spring, same with the summer, and then save it. Then we move on to the Student 3 tab. If the student is a Hispanic student, you simply mark yes and you're done. If the student is not Hispanic and you consider them multiracial, then you would leave this set to no and you would mark all that apply. So let's just say that Barry is multiracial. You will want to make sure that this primary ethnicity is also marked back in Student Master. Whichever you choose as primary here should also be marked in Student Master. This will walk you through all of the documentation. There is race definitions at the end of this according to the federal guidelines that you can read concerning the ethnicity codes and how they're to be applied. You need to be aware that the student PIMS information, everything in this module that's recorded on students in this module stays with the student for their entire length at the Career and Tech Center. So maybe Dace had an IEP last year, but he exited out, then I need to come in here and mark him exited IEP less than 2 years if his status has changed. You need to go in and review this information on a yearly basis on all of your students. Has anything changed, and do I need to update anything on any of, well, mostly on tab 1, but you need to review on all 3 tabs. Will the no-shows be reported for the October 1 submission? Yes, they will be. That will be part of your upgrade that's coming out, the same as all of these assessment participation codes that I just covered will be in your upgrade that is coming out starting the week of September 29th. On the free lunch, I would go back to the sending school that for the federal program that lunch is being provided by, and see if I could gather some more information to see if they were eligible under the federal poverty guidelines. Okay? Will the assessment participation codes auto-populate to NIMS and NOCD if they are enrolled in an approved program of study? No, they will not. You will need to mark them. If you use the what if all no-shows have been removed prior to knowing this new requirement? What will happen? If you use the remove return module, that information is there, and the reason whenever you go into student dropout management, you're choosing archive. That information was archived at rollover on those students, so it will find a student record for those students, and you will just simply do the withdrawal tab. What was that last question about NOCD? The last question was this: will it auto-populate if the student is in an approved program of study that they are taking NOCD or NIMS or NOCD and NIMS? And the answer to that is no. You will have to touch on this data entry for the assessment participation code there, because we have, while the program of study may say that the student takes the NOCD, maybe you also require them to take the NIMS. We have no way of knowing that as the ClassMate vendor, and that's why you would have to update that information. Excuse me. Then you will get to actually creating your templates and adding your snapshot date of October 1. We'll go through that. And then this goes through, there's state reporting validations you can run once you have exported your templates. And they're all listed here for you. And I believe there's a screenshot here for you when we get through all this, the ones you should pay attention to. Again, these reports will print out a report for you and will tell you how to address that validation. I'm going to show you how to create a snapshot date since we do have some new people here. I know some of you probably think this is a waste of time, but remember what it was like when you were new. You go under PIMS Management, PIMS Export Management, go out and click on Edit, and do Add Snapshot Submission Date. Choose your date of 10/1. Choose your templates that are going with this submission, which is the student snapshot, and school enrollment, and click Save. Now that you've done that, you can do your exports. You come in and you choose your location, you choose your snapshot date that you just created. I would suggest that you always include headers, because if you ever got to go back to your export file and look at it for some reason, at least there will be something there that identifies the field for you. And then you choose the 3 templates that you will be submitting. But you're not ready to submit at this point. These are the 3 that are required for this submission. You would click the Save. I'm not going to do this because it'll probably get timeout on me. Click the Save and it will run and will tell you how many records it created for student, how many for student snapshot, and how many for the school enrollment. Once that's done, then you can run under State Reporting folder the state reporting validations. And there was that screenshot. I'm not going to take time now, but one of them would be like missing students, no PA secure ID, that type of thing. You want to run those. You want to clear all these validations. Once those have been cleared, then you would run the ClassMate PIMS verification report one more time. Only this time you are going to select, instead of ClassMate data verifications, you're going to choose PIMS data verifications. Again, if you're a multi-location site, you'll run it for each location. So that is under PIMS, under Reports, PIMS Management, the ClassMate PIMS verification report. We ran this once before, but we ran it on ClassMate data validations. This time we're going to go in and we're going to run it on PIMS data verifications and student again, which you add. You have to remember to add it. And you run it and we'll get an error again, but it will produce a report for you. Once that's all been done, you can run these suggested reports, and prior to submitting your templates to PIMS, you need to run these, review them, look for data inaccuracies. The reports and the data validations go hand in hand in clearing up any data issues that might be in your templates. Once you have run these reports and are satisfied with them, you can do your final export of your PIMS templates and upload to PDE. We highly recommend, as ClassMate best practice, to either print off or save to your local drive these reports that are listed here so that you have some written documentation that of what you've reviewed prior to submitting to PIMS. Multi-location sites can either export for all locations at one time by choosing the multi-locations, or you can do them one location at a time, whichever way you choose to do so. There are certain ClassMate data automations that will occur, and there's a whole list of them here. I'm not going to go through them all. This, like the school entry date, is the day the student schedule began at your CTC. The district entry date would also be that date. So on and so forth. Like I said, I'm not going to read all these to you. I want you to remember that the withdrawal codes that PDE released for 14-15 have been crosswalked behind the scenes by our engineers, and any new codes have been added, and they are identified as WD codes, and I believe they are 7, 8, and 9. I know WD09 for sure. I also want you to remember that the primary disability and student special populations management, going forward after this submission, anybody you enroll, I would say from October 1 on, you must make sure you mark a primary disability in student special populations management. We will auto-populate that for you for this submission. I'm sorry. I got a lot of questions. My understanding is that yes, you will have to mark every student who's taking NOCD. We have a question. We currently have a code called W19, which is change of curriculum. Will that be crosswalked? I'm not sure if I saw that on the list of new codes. The crosswalk occurred behind the scenes. What happened is our engineers took the codes that existed in ClassMate and crosswalk them to the state code so that you didn't have to worry about that. Your code W19 should still be in your system for you to use as you choose. The only time that it might be affected is whenever you do an export, whatever it was crosswalked to, whatever the W19 code was crosswalked to by the engineers is how it would go up to PIMS. You want to know if we can mark any student who's grade 9 or higher in an approved POS program as NOCTI. What if the students, I guess, I can take it back to the engineers. That's the most I can do. Because you could remove, okay, the question is, it makes no sense that you have to mark all your students that they're taking NOCTI, and can't we just mark them if they're a grade 12 or higher in an approved POS approved program? My hesitation here is that some students take the NOCTI, some take the NIMS, and some are required to take both. So what you're telling me, and we'll just take a general, let's do a little poll here. Would you want to see, let's see. I don't know how to do, I've never done this, so you'll have to give me a minute. If you'd like to see automation of the assessment, participation, code set to NOCTI. Here's the problem. If somebody doesn't go in and do it, then they're going to be reported as assessment NOCTI. It's going to give you, could cause you data quality items. I'm going to take this poll. I'll take it back to the engineers. That's all I know to tell you. In POS approved programs of study. Raise your okay. I don't know. Can you all see that? Well, I just sent out a note to you. Let me see. The poll's in the background. So let's try this. Let me get this done. I ran out of room. And wait a minute. I like to see the Okay, hopefully we can get that out to you. Well, it might just end up sending you an email because I'm not sure the poll worked at all. I'm looking through the questions. It would be for any student who is eligible to take the assessment. Any student who is eligible to set for the assessment in NOCTI would be marked as NOCTI or NIMS. And that brings us to the staff submission. The staff submission has not changed much. It's pretty much documented here for you what needs to be populated in employee management. I am going to point out to you one area that has changed, which is the state job descriptions. PDE defined these last year or the year before, I'm not sure which. It's not been that long ago they introduced these. But they have changed the values on this. So right now, until I find out differently, I'm going to tell you that for your employees, you'll need to come in and select your employee, go to the PIMS tab, and over here on the state job description code, there's a drop down. And these were the valid values last year. PDE has eliminated the LEA choices of LWS and LNS. So if anybody at your site has the LWS or the LNS assigned to them as the state job description, they will need to be changed to one of the 3 remaining codes, which is the SWS, the SNS, or the MPA. If you need to know what each of these means, you will need to refer to your PIMS manual, Volume 2, and I don't know what appendix it is right now, unless there are all of these data elements need to be looked at that are listed here on the staff, but it's no change in what's happened year after year. The only thing they changed here was they eliminated 2 codes. So if you had 2 that were assigned to the LEA codes of LWS or LNS, you will need to make sure that they get changed to one of the appropriate codes. Same process. You'll need to create the October 1 snapshot for your staff snapshot, and staff assignment templates. And then you can export them. We again have data validations that you can run under state reporting. The state reporting validations, you would run the blank salary, the no PPID, the no assignment, and the duplicate PPID Social Security number. Validations. There are 5 reports that you should run and review after you've exported your templates. Check them for inaccuracies. Again, the validations and the reports go hand in hand to clear up any data errors. Once everything's fine, then you can upload to PIMS. Again, multi-location sites, you can either upload individually or you can now export multi-location sites all at once. Still on the student, is this NOCTI participation? Do you have this screen up? I'm still on the student submission screen. what you should see, everything in the QRG, I shouldn't say everything, the QRG that we were working from, the student submission, also includes at the very end the staff submission. We put it all in one because it's called the October, it's called collection number 1 October. So we put the student first because it's the bulk of it, and then the staff at the end for the professional personnel submission. If that answers your question, Darla, I'm not sure. Okay, sounds like we got, okay. Sounds like we dropped. Right now, I am displaying the Employee Management PIMS tab on my screen. If you cannot see it, can you raise your hand? We got a problem. Okay. If you can see, ClassMate open to Employee Management to the PIMS tab, will you please raise your hand? Okay. It seems, for some reason, we have lost our view. Now, let's try this again. Try changing a setting here. On my screen right now, you should see, I'm just going to go out to the regular ClassMate navigation screen. It should say ClassMate for QA testing at the top. Is that what everyone is seeing? Please raise your hands. Okay. I think we got it back. Okay, we got it back. Anyway, I'm basically to the end of the presentation. I will go through this employee one more time. When you come into employee management, the QRG will tell you what all you need to check here. You need to make sure they have an ID, a PA Secure ID. All of this information needs to be populated on them, including an email, a gender, all of that, an ethnicity, the Hispanic factor, and a date of birth. I believe the only elements not required here are the home phone, cell phone, and social security number, social security numbers. But the QRG does tell you which ones you should check. Let me go back. I know I'm rushing, but I don't want to hold you up the rest of the day on this, especially since there weren't major changes to it. Here's the screenshot of what you need to check on the General tab. The numbered items 1 through 13 need to be populated. Then on the on the Position tab, you need to make sure that there's a department, a hire status, job title, annual salary, and the effective date populated. So the department, hire status, job title, salary, salary effective date, and I believe that's it for that tab. And then on the PIMS tab, you need to have an employment status, an employee classification, a state job description. Again, this is where the change occurred, and PDE eliminated 2 of the codes, so you'll need to check those on your teachers. The highest degree institution, primary location has to be marked. Years experience, years in district, termination reason if applicable, employment type, the initial hire date, this if it applies, the termination date if it applies, that whether they're ESPP, whether they're under a local contract, whether they're authorized to carry a weapon, and whether they're LEB certified, fully certified, not or not applicable, and also the staff qualification status. Those all need to be populated on that. You will need to make sure there's a PIMS assignment in for each of your professional employees with the proper percentage assigned, and the start date, end date if applicable, and you need to make sure you choose a location there. Again, the QRG will walk you through each of the items that are necessary. And I think that is it, other than doing the snapshot dates. Now we have a few more questions, I think, if I can find the questions. I'm sending a poll out to you. Must be closed to enable screen sharing. Okay. All right. I think what we'll do is just send an email or a survey out to you, because having never used these polls before, I can't screen share at the same time as trying to conduct polls. And I can't get my questions back now that we've had a poll done. I don't like. Let's get the questions back. Okay. It looks like there are no more questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're going to try this polling, and if it works, fine. If not, then we'll do some other way of polling this. It says you're reviewing the poll results, so I'm not sure. Okay, I think we need to figure out another way to do this polling. So if you have no further questions, I can wait a few more minutes, and then I'm going to shut this down. We will put the questions and answers log out with the recorded webinar today, and along with the QRG. I will see that the QRG goes out this, as quickly as possible. We might post it out. We'll post it out under the state documentation. It might get there before the webinar does and before the question and answer document. The overview, you all receive these overviews in the attached to your webinar invitations. One was for the student, and then one was for the staff. It is simply that. It is an overview. It touches upon, the reports and everything. However, anything that cannot be addressed prior to your upgrade should be highlighted in yellow on both of these documents. Unless, I want to make sure. Yes. The remove students, you can remove the students. I shouldn't have that. You can remove the students, but you cannot do this second part of number 10, nor could you do 11. That's listed here. I tried to remember as we went through today what you could and could not do, but the big piece is the removing the students who did not return to you, and then going into student dropout management to the withdrawal tab and choosing the WD09 code that they did not return to you, reporting them as a no-show. That is the big thing, along with the assessment participation for CTCs, because we now have the NIMS and NOCTI included. We'll find out about the auto-population on the NIMS and NOCTI, and if we don't have anything else, let me view the questions one more time. Okay, there are no more questions, so at this time I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope it's been helpful. These documents will be posted within the next few days along with the webinar, and we're always here to help you, and I'll get back to you with the answers on your questions. Thanks again for joining us. Have a good day.